Hey everyone, this is Attorney Andre. Now, I want to talk to you about a situation, a case study that is a case study that you should learn from, and it's the case study of the company, The Wealthy Expat. The Wealthy Expat is a YouTube channel, it's a company stationed in the UAE, and it's a consulting firm that helps people move their business out of the United States or in different jurisdictions, or move themselves into different jurisdictions. And the guy has a lot, the Wealthy Expat has a lot of interesting content, has a lot of useful content. I highly recommend him. But I want to do a case study of what happened, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, with the Wealthy Expat. Now, a couple of weeks ago, the Wealthy Expat posts a video saying that his ex-wife is going to sue him for $800,000. And if you click that video, you're going to see a cautionary tale. The guy opened up the company in the UAE with a partner, his ex-wife, who claims that he stole hundreds and thousands of dollars, close to $800,000, and went to the Dubai police. And unlike other jurisdictions in the UAE, you're guilty until proven innocent. So they issue an arrest warrant. They issue an arrest warrant through Interpol, and Interpol has various different codes for arrest warrant. They issue what's called a red notice, and a red notice essentially says that if you go into a country where it's a member of Interpol and they find you, they can arrest you and extradite you to the country that issued the original arrest warrant. In this case, it would be the UAE. And it would really depend on the country that you go to. And sometimes the Wealthy Expat went to Mexico. They look at it a little bit differently. In the United States, they look at it a little bit differently. Certain European countries, they arrest immediately and then they ask questions later. For example, like England or France and other European nations, they'll do that. But this is not a cautionary tale as to the red notice and how to get out of the red notice. By the way, the red notice statute of limitations is 5 years. So if you get a red notice and that 5 years expires, then you can ask for that red notice to be removed, or the issuing country has to issue you a new red notice. But if that red notice doesn't get served, if you don't get arrested in the first 5 years, then it should automatically expire. But you never want to take these things by chance. Here is where the cautionary tale comes in. Partnership agreements. What do you need for a partnership agreement? Who are you adding into that partnership agreement? Is it a good idea for a family member to be part of that partnership agreement? And I would say yes and no to all of those questions. And let me break it down a little bit. The partnership agreement is key. So if you have a partnership agreement, who has access to those funds? What is considered stealing from the company? Because stealing from the company is a very specific thing. If you have a partnership agreement, what are the terms of that partnership agreement as to who has access to funds? I would say that any member, and in a partnership agreement, there comes a little bit of a risk, give or take, but any member should have free access to funds, and it should be very well defined what those funds are used for. So no one can claim that someone stole these funds, that someone stole the partnership money. You should also have separate accounts, an operating account, an employee expense account, various different accounts in a business that the partnership agreement will touch on who has access to these several accounts and what these accounts are used for. So for example, if you have a marketing account and that account is used for marketing, but then someone takes that money and, I don't know, buys a private jet with it, you can argue that sure, it was used for marketing, but you have a better argument for usurpation of a corporate opportunity or usurpation of company property. Now, usurpation of a company opportunity or company property is another word for stealing company money. Now, the second aspect. Should you do business with a family member? Or should you do business with a partner at all? And I would say it depends on your relationship. If you've got a relatively new relationship, if you meet a relatively new individual, then it makes sense to have different tiers of partnership. So for example, you get married, your wife has a business idea, you want to invest in that business idea, and you come together. You're going to be doing all the work, or you're going to be doing a lot of the work together. You could have what's called staggered shares. So essentially, your shares increase, or the shares of your spouse increase, and the level of control that she or he has increases with the amount of time. A lot of times, those are called staggered shares. Sometimes in different countries, those are called vesting schedules. So how you want to structure your business depends on those vesting schedules. And that's not only for a partner, that's with anyone that has equity in your business. You might have someone, for example, I'm on the board of multiple companies. For my shares to vest, I have to work on that board for 5 years. I have to provide a particular level of service. I have to do a particular set of tasks. And if I do all of that for a period of years, my shares vest. And at that point, you'll have a good understanding of what it's like to work with that person. Is that person someone you're going to build a relationship with? For example, if the wealthy expat built his company by himself, and then he married someone, and that person he married was an employee or someone within the company, and now she has a controlling stake or any kind of ownership stake in the company, to figure out that that person is not going to explode the company, there should be two things. One is to have a vesting schedule. The second thing that's very important is to have poison pills in the company. In the event you file for divorce, in the event you leave the company, in the event something happens, that poison pill is triggered and I can recall my shares. Now, the laws in the UAE might be a little bit different than the laws in the United States where I practice, or laws of Florida where I practice, but you should have poison pill schedules for every single jurisdiction that you do business in, and you should figure out how you can recall shares and the process for recalling shares and how much shares someone else owns according to that particular vesting schedule. So partnerships are very dangerous. Partnerships can ruin you. I've seen businesses with partnerships that fall apart. The Wealthy Expat is a great case study on a business that is thriving, a business that is doing multiple millions of dollars, and because you have a sour breakup or something like that, you're going to get red carded by Interpol, you're going to have criminal investigations on you, you can have a whole bunch of things, and that's not limited to Dubai, that's not limited to the UAE, that happens all the time in the United States, happens all the time in Florida, it happens all the time in Russia, it happens all the time in Europe. A lot of these businesses, when they have a partnership agreement, the business falls apart. Another part of the partnership agreement, the ability to continue on with the business if there's current litigation or if your partnership dissolves. Because, for example, the Wealthy Expat, he developed a huge client base. He should be able to continue in with that business. People that develop a huge client base by themselves should be able to continue on with their business. And the ability for a business to continue on despite a partnership dissolution is extremely key. Because if your partnership dissolves, where do the clients go? Sure, you can send a letter, here is my new business, but then your other partner can say, you're stealing the partnership assets. These clients are partnership property. How do we divide partnership property? What if there's a non-compete in place? All of these things have to be considered. So I recommend, make sure your partnership agreement is sound, number one. Make sure you have a vesting schedule, number two. Make sure you have poison pills in place, number three. And make sure you have the ability to control your board to make sure that if you are kicked out of the company, how does that work? Are you entitled to a golden parachute? And so no one can claim that you stole company assets or company property. Those are extremely important to do. I don't know if those situations were put in place with the Wealthy Expat, but as a threshold matter, at least that would make it very hard to do what this lady did, at least here in the United States, probably there in the UAE. Stay tuned for more tips. Like, comment, subscribe. I want to hear back from you. Wealthy Expat, if you're listening to me, let me know what happened. I'm really interested in your story. If anyone else wants to know how to protect themselves, give me a call, send me a comment. I want to hear from you. Talk to you soon.